From 12 News, this is Newsmakers.
It's been a year of milestones in New Bedford. Census data shows the whaling city topped 100,000 residents for the first time in decades, and its fishing port ranked as the most lucrative in the country for the 20th straight year. But New Bedford's struggles with COVID-19 continue, with among the worst vaccination rates in the region. Welcome to Newsmakers. I'm Tim White alongside 12 News politics editor Ted Nesi, and here to talk about that and much more is New Bedford Mayor Jon Mitchell. Mayor, it's good to see you.
So great to be with you guys. It's been a while.
Yeah, in person for sure.
Yeah. Seen you on Zoom a lot last year, but yeah.
Zoom puts on 10 pounds.
Yeah.
Well, look, I want to start with a pretty big day in New Bedford on Wednesday. You had two significant visits to your city. One was from Republican Governor Charlie Baker and the other Democratic Attorney General Maura Healey. You decided to tag along with Healey.
She asked first.
Is that what the decision was?
Yeah.
Well, because you know the optics of that would be, okay, this could be a Baker-Healey matchup. You're a Democratic mayor,
right,
and you made a political choice.
No, she just asked first. That's the long and short of it. I let the Lieutenant Governor know that I was going to be joining the Attorney General on a boat tour of the harbor that she had asked for a couple of months earlier. So, yeah, in fact, we tried on the boat tour. We tried an amphibious photobombing of sorts of the governor's
well, our
press
cameras,
conference. So
our cameras actually caught some of that.
Caught us waving. Yeah. So we tried, but we failed in that way. No, there was nothing to it.
Did you get any grief from the governor's office for not joining Governor Baker?
No, we were just given a date, and it turned out that I had a conflict that day, and on that date and time, and the conflict was this boat tour that I'd committed to with the Attorney General beforehand. So I wish there was a more interesting story to tell. But
well, you know us. We're going to try and needle you on the politics of it all. No,
you'll have other chances in the program.
So here's the video. We were just talking. That's you and,
that's
the Attorney General. That's you guys trying to photobomb the governor, apparently. New Bedford.
You know, it is unusual, Mayor, to have two major players having simultaneous events in New Bedford at the same time. I mean, were you surprised when you realized the governor was going to be at the same time someone who might want to be the governor?
Well, I think it's a good thing for New Bedford that others are paying attention to it. We've struggled for years and getting everybody's attention in Boston. So when it happens, we'll take it. I think because of recent developments, especially the closing of Vineyard Wind's financing, people are paying a lot of attention. What's happening now in our docks is historic from a national perspective, right? This will be Vineyard Wind 1 will be America's first industrial scale wind farm. The country is focused on climate change adaptation and mitigation right now, and this is going to be a big part of it. Offshore wind is, and it's being launched right from the port of New Bedford.
There's also tension on your docks, right? I mean, you have your city's oldest industry, the fishing industry there, which we said at the top of the show, leads the country from a monetary basis. And then you have the burgeoning offshore wind industry.
Right.
And the fishing industry, they've challenged the federal approval of the wind project that's in the courts right now. How do you as mayor straddle these two interests?
Well, that's exactly what I try to do. I try to be to sit in the loneliest place in American politics right now, which is right in the middle. Right? I try to facilitate communication between the two. New Bedford, I've made it clear to the offshore wind industry at the start that the fishing industry in the Northeast, and particularly in New Bedford, is very different from what they were used to in Northern Europe. It's much larger, it's much more complex, and that they have to work with the fishing industry. And that's what I'm committed to. At the same time, I'm the mayor of New Bedford. I'm elected by the residents of our city and not by any particular industry. And what we're trying to do is grow jobs for our residents, to create business opportunities for businesses that already exist there, and create a better life for our residents. And that means, if that means bringing in investment from this industry that has prospered in Europe, namely the offshore wind industry, then that's what we're going to do. So the fishing industry in the Northeast isn't monolithic. There are many different industries, many different ports, many different types of boats. What we've tried to do is to ensure that that everybody's talking, so that the very particularized concerns that each has can be addressed as reasonably as possible.
When you look out and think about the next, we can talk about individual regulatory things with the fishing industry, but at a high level, when you think about the conversations you have, you think about your city and you think about the industry, what's your biggest concern for the fishing industry over the next 10, 20 years? Maybe it's the offshore wind stuff, maybe it's something else. What do you look out on the horizon and say, that's a concern?
Yeah, it's actually not the offshore wind industry. I think one concern is climate change. We've seen different changes in stocks that are landed in New Bedford. So you guys have covered, for instance, the decline of lobsters, right, in southern New England. They've migrated.
Anyone who tried to get a lobster roll this year.
Yeah, well, they've migrated with their little legs northward to colder waters, and so they're plentiful in the Gulf of Maine, but not so much in southern New England anymore. We worry relatedly about ocean acidification, right? So if the ocean's pH drops, that means that scallops, among other shellfish, will have a tougher time reproducing, and that would be a big hit if that happened on a large scale to New Bedford. 84% of our landings are attributable to scallops. The other big vulnerability is a political one. The East Coast fishing industry is consolidating in New Bedford. We have now about 150 out-of-state vessels that land in New Bedford. There are more North Carolina-based scallopers now that land in New Bedford than in North Carolina, just to give you a sense of it. That's great in the short term because every one of those vessels is a small business coming into the city and doing business with other small businesses. But as those ports down the East Coast start to dry up, we in effect lose 2 senators along the way for every state. And in an industry that is as heavily regulated as commercial fishing is in the United States, you need that political backstop in Congress. And so that's what I worry about. It's less so about offshore wind. I think a lot of the potential conflicts, especially at sea with offshore wind, will work themselves out. It won't be perfect. It won't happen without a whole lot of consternation, but I think it'll work itself out in the long run.
Let's talk about COVID. You imposed a vaccination mandate on city employees early in August. For those who aren't vaccinated, they have to get weekly testing. Did you consider a harder line with that where, like other communities are doing, it's either vaccination or termination?
I did, and the legal advice I got is that it's just going to be a very tough thing to do with municipal unions.
Why? Employees, they require hepatitis, meningitis vaccinations. Why is COVID any different?
Yeah, so I'm telling you, the legal advice I got, I would like, my preference would be exactly to do what you suggest, which is to just mandate it for everybody, because with the exception of folks who have, some, religious or medical, legitimate medical reason to do it. So on a policy ground, my preference would be to get people vaccinated as quickly as possible on a, but there is a legal obstacle to that's been explained to me by our solicitor's office, which is that all the unions would have the ability to bargain benefits, bargain the impact of doing that, and that might get costly for the city, and there also might be litigation that follows that would do nothing except delay the implementation of vaccinations.
Outside City Hall, New Bedford has the lowest vaccination rate of the overall population in Bristol County at 46%. It's the only community below 50%.
Right.
Why?
Well, there are lots of reasons, and just in a point of perspective, it's a regional problem across southeastern Massachusetts. Northern Bristol County is in a different place, right? But as an area that's effectively in Greater Boston, but in the New Bedford area, the Fall River area, and a number of the suburban communities, the rates are lower. And Dartmouth, for instance, our largest and most affluent suburb, the number is only 52%. So it's low in southeastern Mass. I think there are lots of cultural reasons for it, and I've tried to theorize about it because it's been very frustrating. All the things that we've done in terms of opening up access, messaging the benefits of vaccines, just making public arguments about it, including the fact that in the last month, 13 New Bedford residents have died of COVID. Every single one of them was unvaccinated. So we've been preaching it to the greatest extent possible. And I think what we're hitting now is that it's really tough to bring more people in. I think that one of the reasons I think has to do with, again, something we've talked about before, which is the contraction of the media, local media presence in the region, I think has caused a lot of folks over time to rely more on Facebook in particular, but other social media for information on a lot of important matters in their lives.
And fill the vacuum.
Yeah, and people are relying on some of the crazy stuff on social media right now. Like, for instance, the myth that that's made its way, that's gained traction among a lot of young women, which is that if you get vaccinated, you will become infertile. We hear that all the time. There is no evidence that that is the case, but that has set in. And what I tell folks is this: the last thing you want to do in a position like mine is to criticize folks for that decision, to seem like you're a know-it-all or something like that. That doesn't work, right? It doesn't work with anybody. What I tell people is that, look, you trust your doctor to give you advice about all manner of medications, right? This is just another medication. So just call your doctor, have a conversation with your doctor. It turns out, nationally, something like 96% of doctors are vaccinated. So the advice that doctors are given, almost without exception, is, you should take the vaccine. In fact, it's probably the most important thing you can do for your health, even more than stopping smoking and losing weight and doing, exercising three times a week.
So you mentioned local media. My friends at the Standard Times have some new competition. There's a new outlet called the New Bedford Light that's been doing some good work. People should check them out if they're interested on their website. And they had a report, a critical report about the U.S. Department of Education is examining why New Bedford schools apparently failed to publicly report accurate data on student arrests and other disciplinary actions. The Light said since at least 2017. I believe you're the chair of the school committee, right?
Indeed,
Do you know what happened here, and will anyone face any consequences for this?
Yeah, so I think, so I would sum it up as an honest mistake that was complicated by some poor public relations on the part of the school department. So, and I might get the year wrong, Ted, but I think it was as of 2017 or 2018, there was an obligation on the part of school departments to report the number of school-based arrests during the previous academic year. A number of urban school districts around the state failed to do that. It wasn't just New Bedford; it was pretty much every single one around the state. And so, what they did in effect was this is the way my understanding of in the reporting system, the software that is used to load up these numbers. If you leave the space blank, in other words, if you don't have the information and it defaults to zero. So they reported zeros for a few years. What they've reported now, I'm satisfied, is the actual case, which is in last year 0 arrests, the year before 8, the year before that 8, which in a school department, an urban school department of some 13,000 students is not all that much. There's been a review of the SRO program, the School Resource Officer program, which I think is timely. The Superintendent Thomas Anderson, I think, has offered a really fulsome public process to get the input of students, of faculty, of community leaders to understand how it's working and whether it can be improved, and has put a new MOU in place with the police department to ensure that it works well in the future. I think that was a valuable process. The reality is that police officers do not discipline students in New Bedford. That there is a push in a lot of cities around the country to do away with SRO programs because the police are a little too involved in school administration. They shouldn't be, but in a time of Sandy Hook and Parkland and Columbine going back 20 years, having some police presence at schools, I feel is unfortunately appropriate. Just given the risks that are out there, especially a really large school.
We're going to take a break. Our guest this week is New Bedford Mayor Jon Mitchell. When we come back, the sentencing of a former Fall River mayor, Jazel Correa. Stay with us. You're watching Newsmakers. Welcome back to Newsmakers. Tim White alongside 12 News Politics editor Ted Nesi. Our guest this week is New Bedford Mayor Jon Mitchell. Mayor, I want to go just back to COVID briefly here. The City Council passed an ordinance that would make it presumptive that any city employee who dies of COVID-19 would be deemed an employment-related death. So in other words, it's like an in the line of duty death, right, if you think of a police officer. That would provide surviving family members with benefits like a 100% pension. First, just a very narrow question on this. If a city worker who was unvaccinated dies, in your opinion, should it be considered an employment-related death?
No. No. I mean, look,
in the way the ordinance is written now, it would be, correct?
It would. Yeah. So let me just say a couple things. So first of all, we've had two employees, a police officer and a city carpenter, who died in the pandemic and died of COVID in the last year. Both great guys, both people I respected personally. And it's sad. And we've had, of course, many city employees, as every city has, who've gone out during the pandemic and have done their jobs, despite the risks. But the reality is that most people who have contracted COVID have done it through either familial transmission or through social transmission,
so
and
not
workplace,
at work.
not at work, right? So there's that issue, right? So we've had plenty of employees who've contracted it at home, who've contracted it on vacation, who've contracted it when their spouses have come back from vacation. And so, line of duty deaths entail the payment of what can be a considerable amount of taxpayer dollars to the family members, right? And both state dollars as well as municipal dollars. And there's also, when someone dies in the line of duty, a certain reverence that we appropriately attach to, their service. I'm not sure that in every instance when an employee catches COVID, that may be appropriate, especially if there's no connection to the workplace. Then there's also the vaccines, right? So there's no secret. We've been offering vaccines to police officers since December, right? So there's been there's been every opportunity for police officers since then, as well as everyone by now, to inoculate themselves. We know that the vaccines are nearly 100% effective in preventing death. So
are you vetoing this?
It is. So I sent it back, right? There isn't, under the home rule petition, there isn't a veto.
But essentially that is a veto, right, by sending it back?
I sent it back for them to fix it, right? to make it more narrowly tailored, so that we're not passing something that sweeps in the possibility that anybody, vaccinated or unvaccinated, connected to work or not connected to work, would be eligible for benefits. And I think we can get it right. There may be a way to sort of thread the needle to enable the families of those who have been lost to make sure that they're taken care of without opening the door for enormous expenses for the city.
We're talking about COVID at a policy level, but people might not know at home. You had COVID before any of us could get vaccinated. How bad did it hit you?
It wasn't too bad. I like to joke that I actually put on weight because the room service that my wife and kids were providing was exceptionally generous, and so but it wasn't bad. I continued to work at home, and it's not scary for folks who are younger, right? It turns out, even though there are some folks who are younger that we know who've gotten it. What I would emphasize to everybody, as I've done countless times over the last year or so, is that, look, if you don't think you're going to get sick from it, that may be, but you have family members who could get really sick from it, and you could pass it to them, and that's why everybody should be concerned, and that's why everybody should get vaccinated.
Let's talk about politics a little. It's redistricting season, so I want to show people a map of the congressional districts that we have in southeastern Massachusetts to frame this question. So you see there along the Rhode Island border, you have the 4th district, which is represented by Jake Auchincloss. And then next to it, heading over into the New Bedford region as well as out to the Cape, you have the 9th district, which is Bill Keating. And right now, Fall River, you can see there is kind of split. Half is up in the 4th, half is down in the 9th. Some folks in the region are suggesting both cities should be fully in the 9th district. So pull the rest of Fall River into the 9th to have a full-on, very southeastern Massachusetts focused district. What's your view? Do you think that would be good for the region?
Yes.
Why?
Well, because the interests of New Bedford and Fall River are more alike than the interests of, say, Fall River and in Newton, which is on the other side of the 4th district, and that there's we've gone, frankly, a long time since there was any resident of southeastern Mass who's served in Congress. In fact, in the city of New Bedford itself, it has just been almost exactly 100 years, a little over 100 years since there's been anybody in Congress.
Who was the last one?
His name was Joseph Walsh.
Okay.
He resigned he resigned from Congress to come back to Massachusetts to be a Superior Court judge.
Okay.
So that was in August of 1921. So 100 years plus a month.
You have good recall.
That's pretty good. Yeah, I'm impressed.
But the point is, it's a long time. New Bedford's a significant place that has significant federal interest. Commercial fishing, right? The biggest commercial fishing port in America. The launching pad of the American offshore wind industry about to happen. We have a large immigrant population, with lots of folks on federal assistance. We have so there's a lot there that that a congressman would have to deal with, and I think it's not to cast aspersions on the.
I was going to say, is it criticism of Bill Keating?
No, it's not. It's not to cast aspersions on the current occupants. And I had a good conversation with Jake Auchincloss about this just the other day to tell him to look,
because he on this show told us he wants to keep Fall River.
No, and I told him I disagree with him respectfully, and I said, look, I don't see. I mean, this is gerrymandering. It's not race-based gerrymandering of the type that the Supreme Court has consistently thrown out over the decades, but it's gerrymandering. When you split up a district in a tortured way to ensure
named after a former Massachusetts governor.
Yeah,
that's right.
Elbridge Gerry, right? So it doesn't work in our favor, and I think over time there have been. Southeastern Mass has gotten the short end of the stick, and this is an opportunity, I think, to sort of fix things. Because these are at minimum a decade-long decision, if not multi-decade-long decision. So there's a chance to get it right now.
Let's stay in the federal bucket here. I want to talk about the American Rescue Plan Act money, ARPA. And what is it for New Bedford? $64 million. I know you're tussling.
Directly, and the school department gets another 46.
Okay, good to know. So I know you and the city council, as many city councils and executive offices, are kind of battling over who controls it. But I'm just curious, how do you want to spend the money? What's the number one thing on your list?
Yeah, so my mindset is more about an approach than to any sort of like wish list. So I think, for starters, it's a once-in-a-generational, actually it's once-in-a-multi-generational opportunity. New Bedford hasn't gotten federal funds of this magnitude in real terms since at least the 60s, if not since the Great Depression. So we want to make sure that it is spent on one-time items. We don't want to spend it on programs that have enduring obligations. So we're not going to hire up 10 new assistant librarians whose salaries we can't fund in 3 years because the federal funds have all dried up. So I want to see project-based investments, and investments that leverage as much other funds as possible, whether they're private funds, whether they're state funds, including funds that the state has received under ARPA. Massachusetts got $5.3 billion, and they're going to be spending it and certainly they're going to be spending it in New Bedford because we qualified demographically for a lot of those funds. So it could be things like enhanced open space. That's an eligible area. It could be in the tourism sector. So a lot of the city's cultural facilities have capital plans in place that are ripe for investment, and I've been talking to them about doing that. Some of it could be law enforcement. That is arguably an eligible category. And if there are big business opportunities, if there are opportunities that are eligible, right? So if they relate to tourism, if they relate to an industry that has been disproportionately impacted by the pandemic, and that's sort of what the regulations say, then we'll jump on those opportunities by using ARPA funds to fill funding gaps, to fill financing gaps. So that's the way I'm thinking about it. We'll put all this stuff together for the City Council in the weeks ahead so that the City Council has an understanding of how we're approaching it. I actually think that there will be pretty strong agreement in terms of the overall approach, and so we look forward to that discussion.
We're running low on time, so I gotta go. No, I gotta go quickly with this. Persistent rumors you might leave early before your term is up to take a job in D.C., take a job in Boston. How likely is it you're still the mayor for the next 2 years?
I think there's a pretty good chance, but I can't say. I have no announcements right now, Ted. But
okay.
But I can say that, and you've heard this from other mayors in the region, right? It's really Mayor Lorza mentioned this the other day, and as he's talking about his potential gubernatorial run. It's when you're in a job like mine, it's really hard to take your hand off the wheel, and so. Running for like a statewide office does, at least in Massachusetts, would require me to leave my current position. And, you know, we've spent the last year and a half really sort of trying to keep people safe and trying to, like, you know, move ARPA funding forward now because it presents a great opportunity. So I'm not ruling anything out, but I will say that I'm fully immersed in the role of mayor right now.
10 seconds. Could you see yourself running for re-election as mayor in 2023?
I wouldn't rule it out.
Okay.
I could see myself doing that.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Right, 30 seconds left. Former Mayor Jazel Correa from Fall River, he got 6 years in prison, 8 counts were dropped. Again, about 30 seconds here. Did that surprise you, the sentence of 6 years?
A little bit. I thought he'd get a little bit more, and frankly, he deserves every day of it. What he did was just so over the top, so like old school corruption that you know. And when you get right down to it, I mean, the city of Fall River deserves a lot better than what it got from him, and I hope that city's able to turn the page over this really messy affair.
New Bedford Mayor Jon Mitchell, thanks for joining us. For Ted Nesi, I'm Tim White. We'll see you next week on Newsmakers.